This is Kat Sturtz from rockingyourpath.com with another episode of Fast Action Fridays. Today, my special guest is on the West Coast from me. I'm in Michigan. Her name is Nicole Jackson, and she is doing what many new solopreneurs start with, and that's kind of a side hustle job. She still has a corporate job and has also added a side job. So she's employed basically 9 to 5 during the day and then self-employed 5 to 9 the rest of the day. And that's what we're going to talk about on this episode. Thank you for being here, Nicole. I know it's real early where you are today. Can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thanks, Kat. Thank you for having me on your podcast. I really appreciate it. My name is Nicole. I'm originally from Chicago, so I am from the Midwest. A lot of people here think that that's the East Coast for some reason. So I'm originally from Chicago. I've been here in California for about 8.5 years, but I've been doing administration for a little over 10, 11 years. So I'm 32 years old. I know if anyone is watching this on YouTube, maybe wondering I have the experience. I've been working in Chicago. I worked on the south side of Chicago in administration for 4 years. Then I kind of put in my resignation to kind of move elsewhere. So been doing the same kind of work out here and just wanted to take those tools and not replicate them, but just use them in the communities around me.
One thing I noticed on your website, which is Mine Our Business, is a tagline, bringing admin back in style. And I thought that was a really neat take on what the service you provide is, basically virtual assistant services, the administrative type of things for other companies and other people in business. So let's jump right into some of the tips you have for people who may be looking to start a side job and continue their regular employment, or are transitioning from one to the other. I know you've got some foundational tips for us, and I know that they're often the ones people either ignore because they don't give enough attention to, and without them, you don't really set yourself up for success. So what's your tips?
Thank you for that, Kat. So I think my biggest tip would probably be organizing. It's underrated. You say it, but it's like, how do you take that into action? And with COVID, now organizing is a little bit different. Now you have integrated bills, maybe. I'm not sure what that looks like. Maybe you're in a relationship, maybe you have children, maybe you have monthly reoccurring bills, which most of us do. And how do you keep track of your bills that are paid and not paid? So, and communicating with that with your partner, because that's a lot of times, it's I, but if you're in a relationship and you have other people in the household contributing to those businesses, I think it's very important to have like a share drive. So I use something that everyone has, a share drive that my fiance and I both look at maybe once a week, and we just kind of keep on track. Hey, is this paid? Hey, go look at the share drive. So what I created was a yearly template, and that template reflects. So I have so I have 12 columns, January through December, and all of what's this month? September. So all of September have all of our recurring bills that we pay. And once they are paid, once I pay them from the bill account, because that's another important thing, having just an account that you pay just the bills from. Once it's paid, I turn that cell green. So he knows and I know that it's paid. And I also use the Dave Ramsey technique, pay the small bills off. try to, get ahead. So like the Netflix and like little $10, $15 bills, we do our best to try to pay that for a year. So we turn those cells green. So we have red cells, which means, or pink cells that are not paid, and then green, we turn it green when they are paid. So the goal is to turn everything green. So I think that's the biggest tip, just having some type of system that works between you and your partner, and just having a system that works
I know
to
a lot
stay
of
organized.
people want that and know they need that, but they don't put it into practice because they say, oh, it takes too much time. But the longer you put that off, the more time is wasted in losing track of things or worrying about whether you're losing track of things. So spending that time up front really helps. You mentioned that you set up your own program. Followers know I also recommend a program called YNAB, which stands for You Need a Budget, and there's a wonderful app with that. There are other free resources out there like Wave and just a plain old spreadsheet,
Right.
so that's great. I want to remind viewers and listeners that Nicole does have a free resource for you. She'd love to sit down and have an online virtual chat with you and discuss what kind of administrative needs your business might have. And you can kind of mine her mind on what you might be lacking or needing to implement in your business. And if you want to discuss hiring her, that's on a side thing there. That's between you two. All right. What's the next tip?
The next tip I would say is file organizing. And I think that really goes overlooked. So everyone has a shared drive, which is like files and stuff on their computer. And you may, save stuff every now and then, every day, whatever your frequency is that you save things. It's important to actually go back in there and organize those files if you don't do it right away. Put those files in where it belongs. Put it in a folder separate from if you're into politics, and if you're working on something with politics, don't have everything in one folder. Separate your receipts and stuff in another folder. So I would just say definitely get prepared to do your taxes before April 2021. And one way to do it is start now. You don't have to do everything in one day. Just start a little bit at a time with organizing. And I would say that.
Yeah.
And the same thing for your email. Emails can that can take up a lot of space, and I think it's important to kind of go through your emails and clear out some of that stuff that you don't need, and what you do need, save it in a file and keep your life moving.
Absolutely. All right. What's another tip?
Another tip is also researching. I feel like in order to gain profit or gain anything, we have to spend time working with other businesses that are profitable and that have done the work, and just to kind of gain their resources. Like even, me being on here, I'm trying to gain what I can, do my research that you have with other people. Sometimes we spend so much time on our own business that we don't share what we know that can help us to the next step. So I would definitely say take time out to network with other businesses and make that a priority.
Yeah. Especially during this COVID-19 times when we're recording this, we're not getting a lot of the interaction, the personal interaction that we're used to. So making that a priority to network, even if you can't do it face to face, you can still find ways to network, right?
Right.
All right.
Because I still want to schedule my consultation with Zofia. So Zofia, if you ever see this, I'll be coming your way.
Which I love, because that's part of the wherewithal, and the part of the reason I started Fast Action Fridays. And what Nicole is referring to is another guest that she saw in a Fast Action Friday interview was Sophia. Sophia, I never pronounced her name quite right. Banye, who is also in the virtual assistant business. Also for you, Nicole, make sure and look up the one with Pam Langord, who also has been running a virtual assistant. I'll send you a note about that
Okay.
for a long time. I love, though, that you are highlighting these beginner steps, because like I said at the beginning, the people I coach, especially the beginners or the ones who are struggling the most, have ignored the foundational steps, either on purpose because they're procrastinating them or not thinking they're important enough, but they really do hinder your ability to be an effective business person. And an effective business person, your goal is to make money for your business. And then you get to choose how you want to spend that money. That's where your why is. Why do you want to make money? That's a whole other mindset discussion. Yeah. But without these foundational things that you're talking about, these things we all know up here, but often don't put into practice.
Yeah, even.
Go ahead. What would you like to say?
Even just recently, my fiance, and because there's on our share drive that we have, we turn the sales green. I can't turn some of his sales green because I don't know if he's paid them or not, because he got his own. We have our joint accounts, but, and I think some of the reasons why he hasn't turned them green, because he doesn't really, he doesn't have an account that says specifically for that. So what I've done is, look, what's your password? We're going to change the name of your account to this, because this is what we're using it for. We're saving it for the baby. So you need to have a savings account with the baby's name on it. So when you go in your account, you see our baby name, you go make sure you go have, so, because, now it just says checking. But if it says, a name for a particular purpose, then you may be more motivated to kind of be like, okay, well, I need to put money in for not checkings, but for my baby, so yeah, I think that's very important. So take those steps. Like, the sooner you take them, the better it is, and you get used to the adaptation, because adapting is very important too. Change is not always easy for everybody, and I think from where I come from, it just come natural for me. You got to figure it out.
Yep, you got to figure it out, and you've got to do it. And I love that you shared that example from your own life, because it's how it affects you personally and what you want to accomplish in your life personally, and the joy and the happiness and stability you want in your own life is the reason you're getting into business in the first place. Yeah. And wanting to earn additional money. And whether or not you love or hate your corporate job, the fact is, if you don't enjoy your own work, your self-employment work, it's going to be a drag. And when it gets to be a drag, it's going to be harder and harder to earn money to keep it sustainable. And you're going to look at all the things you want that extra money to do for you, and you're not going to see them funded. So, all right. Do you have another tip for us, for someone? Really,
I would definitely just piggyback off of something that I heard you say. Just love what you do. It's just so fun. If you're not having fun with what you're doing, child, just throw it in the garbage. It's just pointless, even if it's bringing in multiple streams of income. And I do, I enjoy coming up with ideas, even at corporate, when we have our staff meetings and we're, discussing certain things that for improvement, or, just having that communication of what's working. And then, so it allows you to get like a relief off and, kind of analyze things. It's very important. Yeah. So analyze what you're doing, see if you're really liking it, try to adjust if you're not.
Well, the fact that you love the organizing and the strategy and the admin work comes through in the joy on your face when you discuss it. For a lot of people,
Ooh, it's the Excel sheet.
for a lot of people, that is what they hate the most. Right next to marketing. And people know me as the Purgatory Relief Coach for people who think marketing is hell. I love marketing. A lot of people don't. And part of my job is not to make those people love marketing. My job when I'm working with them is to help them understand how marketing can help them and do it in a way that they at least don't avoid it anymore. That they're comfortable with the process. And I always tell them, if there's a marketing tactic that you don't like, you don't have to implement it for your own business. Because if you don't like it, chances are the people who are most likely to hire you don't like that tactic either. So you're not missing anything. You don't always have to do what a big guru or the trend of the time is saying, oh, you must do this. And I'm good proof for not doing a lot of things traditionally and still being able to make money in a way that I enjoy doing.
That's
all right,
really
so
important.
We've got organizing your private life and your financial life. We've got organizing your files, which includes your inbox. You may want to take a look at my easy organizing and filing system. It's a great piggyback for what you're doing with your clients. Having joy in what you're doing as a side note. And I'm going to ask you a question, Nicole. Having joy about the work you're doing does not mean you automatically love every little task that must be done to do that, right?
Right. Where the realistic world is, having a perfect day is not, realistic, but knowing the end result, at the end, making sure my client is like, girl, that I like that, that idea, because there's also other services that I provide that may come in handy, and just having that execution of going through those tedious times is hard. Sometimes it's not even hard. Sometimes it's just time consuming. I have to go back and forth asking questions to make sure that it's done properly. I have to be very meticulous with the type of work that I'm doing to make sure that it's done properly, because if it reflects back into the public, it's very important that it's done correctly. So communication is important. And I think the hardest part is making sure that, hey, if I text you, I need a response back between 24 to 48 hours so I can move on to the next step. Or if I have a question, I need to be able to know how to ask it without putting in this long group text message where you like, what does she want? And getting the answer that I need so I can move on. So I think that, the hardest part is make sure that I communicate effectively and timely so I can move on to the next step.
That brings up a point that you and I talked about before we actually started recording the interview today. And that is, when you still have a corporate job, you have to manage your time, your own time separately, but you also have to manage how what you do on the side may or may not affect your corporate job, and making sure that there's not a conflict of interest going on. You're lucky that who you're working for in the corporate business is going, hey, we love that you're doing something on the side to help yourself, go for it. And they're trusting you to maintain your professionalism on the outside with your own work. So anyone who knows you also work for this company, that reputation shines well back on the corporate job as well as on your own, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I can actually, kind of work as a liaison. I found out that my job actually sponsors one of the nonprofits that I'm a member with. So, now it's like, okay, you got it. So working as a liaison between the two has been, you know, fun, like, because you think that the opportunities may be there, but we have to know the policies and the procedures, and once they're understood, to kind of move forward and execute some things between the communities and stuff. So great.
It's also a lifeline for attracting new clients for your own business, because they can see the work you're doing elsewhere. So often someone with a part-time side job doesn't have the same amount of time or ability to market themselves, to go looking for new clients. But when you're able to do what you're doing and meeting with people that your corporate job already works with, they get to
Well, I
see
think,
you.
yeah, just to clarify, I think it was kind of the backwards, because I wanted to be very clear that I wanted to keep my corporate separate from what I do when I clock out. Hey, I do what I do when I clock out, and when I clock out, I clock out. So it came about actually just being myself, being Nicole, because that's very important for me too, to not represent, my 9 to 5 when I'm at 6:00 p.m. I'm Nicole. So I'm part of these nonprofit organizations and, other things in the community. It kind of connected, but at the same time, I was able to be myself. And then I found out, through reading the policies and procedures, kind of like, oh, okay, well, this and that. So yeah, it definitely came the other way around, being myself, then finding out, making that connection to corporate.
Last question for you. At what point did you decide you wanted to have a side business?
Um, I think working with nonprofits here in the local community, just seeing a need for administrative work, seeing a need for the things that I know how to do and I really like doing, and finding out that hey, this is what I do at work, and let me, even taking minutes. That's important. Nobody want to take meeting minutes, and maybe even my latest addition to Mind Our Business is advertising videos. So I love to make people smile and just to help. So I have software now on my laptop that allows me to visualize your creativity, to bring life to your creativity. And I think advertising is also a big underrated area. How are you advertising? Do you have like a little ad video on your page that just like, doodly or something like that? So yeah, I think just allowing people to let me help, and then just saying like, oh wow, I really like this, and just moving forward from that.
Right. And that's definitely a task that someone may have thought that they would like to have, but if they get so busy in the weeds of their business, they never get to it. It's much more productive to hire someone like you to do it for you, for them. So, well,
Yeah.
thank you again for spending this time with me. We kind of got to know each other briefly in a Facebook group, and it's nice to be able to spend this time face to face with you today. I'm wishing you the best of luck with your new marriage, with the baby on the way, with your own business, and maybe someday it'll be your full-time business. But until you're no longer happy with the corporate business, I think it's really great that you're a good example for someone who can stay in the regular business world and still grow a side business like you're doing, one that you love.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, this is Kat Sturtz closing another episode of Fast Action Fridays. Remember to join me next week when I have another great guest. Until then, remember to keep rocking your unique path to success. Bye-bye.
Rock with Cat.